Welcome back to the Finishing Move, the video edition. This has been a while since we've been able to sit down and get in front of the video camera to do a little update on wrestling and talk some squared circle with you. If you don't remember, I'm Road Dogg Adam Gillespie, and you are?
The staple that holds the finishing move together, the glue, the workhorse of the team, the guy who keeps this train going and keeps bringing you all the wrestling infotainment that you get from the Atlanta Sports X, Big John Radcliffe.
We'll edit a lot of that out so we can just get right to the name there.
It's accuracy there, man. I mean, look.
Don't forget to check us out every Thursday night on Atlanta Sports X, as Big John said. We are on from at 7 o'clock with Chris Colwell, our third tag team partner there.
Also, go to atlsportsx.com. Check out our podcast, The Finishing Move, The Dark Matches. We just put up a great interview with some special guests, and we hope to have you some more coming very soon. And
those special guests are the Young Bucks. I mean, don't be shy about it. So if you want to hear some candid responses from the Young Bucks, a big part of AEW and the creation
vice presidents.
And the creation of AEW, you definitely want to get over to atlsportsx.com. Go to the podcast and check out the Dark Matches to get that, as well as all our previous shows, or a bunch of our previous shows, and then we do a Dark Match podcast every Thursday as well. Well, I wanted to get together with you and talk about the fact that Atlanta is the bridesmaid once again. It was announced yesterday that next year's WrestleMania will be going to Los Angeles, Hollywood. They're going to go to the new arena that is being built for the Chargers and the Rams.
Correct.
And so I'm sure it's going to be a magnificent arena for WrestleMania to be in. Of course, WrestleMania has gone to Hollywood before. They've had a couple, I believe,
this is the fourth or fifth time in Los Angeles in general. And this is, I know people will be picky, it's Inglewood, but it's all LA. It's all that LA, California area. This is like the fourth or fifth time that they've been there. And you're right. We are the bridesmaid once again. We're left out of the dance once again, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. You know, I know that we can host it. You said it. You've said it before many times. I mean, first off, we know we can host it because we've hosted it before.
Correct.
We've had one before. And then last year, when you look at the great job the city of Atlanta came together and did for the Super Bowl and the events around the Super Bowl, which is a lot of what WrestleMania has too. There are a lot of events that go around just the main WrestleMania card that takes place on that Sunday as well. I know the city could host it, and I hope that one day we get back in the running for that.
I think we will, and I think part of it will come about because I think I know that the companies work independently, and that being the WWE and the XFL. I think one of the ways that they're going to start to see what other cities can do and how to be creative with it. In Atlanta, you cannot see what all is going on here. We've talked about this before. The Super Bowl. In a few weeks, we'll have the Final Four will be here. We always host college bowl games here. We've always had one, and there's a multitude of events that take place that go on around the city, and there's no way that you can overlook it. And I think right now, the way in the position that wrestling's in right now, we talked about this on the show a few days ago, with all the things that have been going on around Atlanta in terms of Atlanta being a wrestling mecca. I think it's a race now where the WWE is going to want to get to places before AEW can get there. Because it's not as grand of a stage, and AEW is not there yet. But I think what they're going to want to do is, let's not be shown up. Let's get there before they can get there so we can kind of plant our flag a little bit faster than they can. And I think that's what the WWE is trying to do with the Southern California scenario of, let's get here. Let's get to Vegas. Let's get these places out of the way before AEW can plant their flag, and then they start to raise their stock.
Well, that was something I was going to definitely bring up. No, we did not get a WrestleMania for next year. But those wrestling fans out there that wanted to come here know that I've been told by the people who get to make these decisions that they do want WrestleMania to come back to Atlanta.
People?
And they do talk to WWE, and they do effort that cause. So hopefully those efforts will pay off eventually, and we will get WrestleMania back here. But no, we're not getting WrestleMania next year. It's in Tampa this year. It's in Hollywood, LA next year, whatever you want to call it. But as we talked about on the Finishing Move a couple weeks ago, and you just brought up, there are a lot of wrestling events, opportunities going on in the metro area of Atlanta for wrestling fans to take part of. I mean, AEW is coming in a week.
Next week,
right?
Wednesday.
Raw's coming back for their go-home show to this year's WrestleMania. I believe March 30th is the date. Both of those are taking place at State Farm Arena. Hacksaw Jim Duggan is coming and doing an event here. A storytelling show, and then he'll meet with the fans up in Rome. There is a big event where Sting, who I'm going to talk about in just a moment with you, is coming back. Eric Bischoff, he's going to be doing photos, meeting $1 Million Man. A bunch of guys are going to be there, so you can Google that. I believe it's called Superstar Fest Rome, but if you Google Wrestling Rome, I'm sure it will come up. We've got WWE doing some stuff in Macon and in Savannah. We've got NWA, who tapes here all the time. We're out of GPB Studios down in Atlanta. So there is a lot of opportunities in Atlanta to get out. Our friends at
Southern Honor Wrestling,
SHW in Canton, first Friday of every month.
They just named their first tag team champions there as well. So they're doing big things as well. And keeping in mind, Brandon Benefield, he always shares with us. He never knows who, but there's always been a surprise that has come out that honestly, it goes back to, we always talk about the nostalgia of it, where they've had guys like Raven, they've had DDP, they've had Sandman, they've had a wide array of different wrestlers that...
The Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes all came out there before AEW got officially going with Dynamite.
So, it's one of those things that, to be a wrestling fan, we just had New Japan that was here just a week ago. To be a wrestling fan in Atlanta with so many different venues where it can go from very large like Mercedes-Benz Stadium to something, I don't want to call them small because it is a great venue, the Roxy right here at the Battery and near Truist Park. It's so many different places and so many different things going on. I think that's why it'll be easily at some point Vince, Triple H, whoever the powers that be of the WWE, they're gonna work with the city of Atlanta to try and add that back into it. Because also keep in mind, we talk about it like we're the oldest wrestling fans here in Atlanta. We still have grandparents, maybe not necessarily ours, but grandparents and fathers and uncles that they're still wrestling fans. They still love the old WCW era.
Like Nick Cellini, he's a grandparent, right? He's an old guy like that. And him and I talk wrestling every time we're out.
You call Nick Cellini old, but okay. But some of the more seasoned Atlantans, they're going to want it, and I think it's well warranted. I think it's great. I think it's one of the things that it was kind of the one of the building blocks of Atlanta to me.
Definitely with
when Ted
WCW.
Turner owned it back in the day, it was a building block to get Atlanta to that place where you had still Hawks and Falcons and things like that going on, but it was a building block. It was a staple of it, and then you never know who's going to just show up here and do something. Ric Flair's here all the time. This is still the home of so many renowned wrestlers, DDP, and everybody that works with him down at DDPY. It's just amazing.
Stevie Richards, who we had
friend of the show. So it's going to be great when that time comes back around and Atlanta becomes that hub again.
We only got a couple minutes left, so I want to talk. We've probably worn this subject out a little bit, but I do want to broach it with you real quick because we're on opposite ends of the spectrum for more times than not. As we saw last Friday on SmackDown, Bill Goldberg is now going to face, he's going to make the trip back over to Saudi Arabia and face The Fiend for the championship. Yay or nay from you? I have a feeling I already know.
Going up against The Fiend, I'm going to give it a yay.
Oh, okay.
The only reason I'm giving it a yay is I think The Fiend is someone he can work with. He has the athleticism to go with it. It's not someone who is a Rey Mysterio, a cruiserweight that he can just squash. The Fiend he's a bigger guy. He's not a super heavyweight, but he's a bigger guy, and I think there'll be something that can work with there. Now, I do throw the caveat. I don't want Goldberg as a champion. Let The Fiend keep the belt on this.
It will be interesting to see what they do. I've seen reports going both ways, that he could win and take it to WrestleMania, or that The Fiend will retain and then probably go on to face Roman Reigns. Do you think part of this is Goldberg wanted this as an opportunity to go over there and kind of correct what happened as a make good for what happened against The Undertaker and what basically a failure of a match that was?
Hands down, it has to be. Look, as a guy, not to go with the cliche, you don't want to have a bad date on your record. Goldberg now has a bad date on his record. We could talk about a wide array from his WCW history, the off and on times that he's been with WWE, but he doesn't want that. That's the last memory that we have of him. This kind of can erase it a little bit because now it puts it virtually right back at the same location to kind of right the wrong a little bit more. Because I think it would be different unless you put it at WrestleMania. on the grandest stage. That's the only other thing that I feel like could overshadow it a little bit more. But other than that, you got to fix this because, you and I, we grew up Goldberg, starting out, no talking. He came out, Georgia boy, Georgia football player, big dude, and he was just dominant. The streak that came about that he started, that he should have never lost, by the way. But all that he did to have that blemish be there, it is something for you and I that we can't help to say for however long. Please let us continue the show. The show continues on. We're going to think about it. We're always going to refer back to it. I think this could help correct that a little bit.
I agree. And he did have the match with Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam a couple months after the event in Saudi Arabia with The Undertaker. But I think going back to Saudi Arabia and maybe correcting, if you want to call it a wrong, so to say. There were also rumors that came out that Sting was in talks with WWE to go over there and have a match. Apparently, according to the dirt sheets, he has been medically cleared for a match. If we were going to have an Undertaker and Sting match, would you want it at WrestleMania or Saudi Arabia? And obviously, we can't go back in time, so I am talking about where these two guys are now. I think that still is worthy of a marquee match for WrestleMania.
I got to stick with my point on it now.
Okay.
So
you're flipping flopping because you're okay with Goldberg.
And the reason I've said this, and I've said it many times, I've got to go back and look at it. There was one match where they said The Undertaker literally had to be taken. Once he got help to the back, he was put on a stretcher. And maybe it's just the compassionate heart of me of you don't want to see your heroes go away. But to hear that portion of it, it's just kind of, look, the guy's in amazing shape. I'm not taking that away from him. I have no question in a fist fight, he probably could kick my butt. But
probably. We'll say probably.
I'll go with him. Yeah, he probably can. For sure he can. But I hear this and I see those, and not just even the matches, what it puts his body through, it is kind of a point of, okay, it's kind of time to stop. Now, in terms of Sting being cleared, even though doctors have cleared him, please remember, that was the same thing with Daniel Bryan. The doctors cleared him, but the WWE has to clear him as well.
Well, I've heard that at least one report had the WWE has cleared him, and that's why they were actually in talks to have the match because he had been cleared by the WWE medical staff. So we'll see. Maybe next year, maybe this year in Tampa, maybe next year in Hollywood, we'll see a Sting Undertaker match that the fans of the '90s have always wanted to see.
Now wait, I got one quick one for you.
20 years later, but
Hollywood Hogan coming back in Hollywood and stepping in the ring, how would you feel about that?
So he's 66 now. So he would be 67 or 68 next year in Hollywood. If he's going to do it, which, hey, I'm the biggest Hogan mark there is. I'm a fan of him. If he's going to do it in Tampa, your hometown. You don't need to do it out there. I mean, he's 66. So between the difference between 66 and 67, I don't know how big of a difference that is.
It's not an AARP card. You're already there.
Yeah, but just do it and get it over with. But is it going to? It's not something that would headline WrestleMania. Obviously, it's just something that would be there for the fun of it at this point.
I don't know. I mean, I want to see Hogan one more time, but not in the ring. I still want to see him. Like I said, I love the way him and Ric Flair did it out in Saudi Arabia last year.
Well, he's going to Saudi Arabia apparently again this time coming up. I don't think he's getting in the ring, but he's been out there twice. Once where he just came out and said hey to the crowd, and then the Ric Flair.
Is his entrance music over in Saudi Arabia? I Am a Real American.
I don't know.
Is that the entrance?
I'll have to listen a little closer.
Is that the entrance music? I've been wondering that for a while. That's a great place to play that. Okay.
Well, make sure you tune in every Thursday night at 7 o'clock, The Finishing Move here on Atlanta Sports X. We appreciate you watching. Have a great day.